If you've got a 12-hole chromatic harmonica that's in the key of C and it's standard tuned, then hole number 4 and hole number 5 below, you've got two C's, two C naturals that are right next to each other. This happens up an octave also. I'm not going to talk about the two C's today. I'm going to talk about the two C sharps. We're going to push the slide in and play hole 4 and 5 below. So it has come to my attention that I have been predominantly using the upper C sharp. We'll call it the hole 5 C sharp. And when I say predominantly, I mean like every time I played the note C sharp, I would choose that upper one. And I think most of the time it's a good choice, and I know the exact reason why. And I was partially aware that I was doing this, but what I wasn't aware of was that I was never using the hole 4 option. The only time I would use that, if you play hole 4 and 5 together, it's kind of cool. Playing those two notes together, it gets like a weird, like a phased out or chorus effect. It almost sounds like a tremolo harmonica. I don't know if you can hear this. So that's both notes together. I might like use that occasionally as an effect. The other time that I might play that lower C sharp is that if I just like make a mistake and I inadvertently hit that note. And it's a funny thing about having the double C sharps is you could be aiming for the upper one and miss it and hit the lower one or hit both of them or hit something in between. And so it's kind of this big, like a lot of grace right there. If you're trying to play a C sharp, it's kind of hard to miss if you're in the neighborhood, right? Because it's two holes wide. But here's the thing I want to tell you. I have been working on some new instructional material. It's been lights, camera, action at the house lately, and I was talking about the A major scale, and I was playing it like this over holes 3, 4, and 5. I was just discussing the first three notes of the scale, A, B, and C sharp. And so I was playing it over 3 holes. And I suddenly became aware that I didn't have to play it over 3 holes. I could play it over 2 holes. And so it was kind of a bit of an epiphany or a revelation, you could say. It was an epiphany or a revelation that, and right on camera, right in front of everybody, I could play it over 2 holes. I don't have to jump up to hole 5 to get the C sharp. And so I was playing. And the new thing was to and it felt weird at first because I wasn't used to doing it that way, and I didn't trust that if I blew on hole number 4 that it would even be a C sharp. My instinct is to jump up there. Now I have to tell you this: I'm an old man, and I've been playing the harmonica for a long time, since I was a teenager. So I started playing the diatonic harmonica in 1977, if you could believe that. And then, I think 1979, I got my first chromatic, 78, 79. I'm going to say that I started playing the chromatic in 1982, which was still 38 years ago. And as I got to learning scales and multiple keys, I gravitated towards the upper C sharp, and I've been using it pretty much this whole time. I'm going to explain why actually I think that's a better choice, because it has to do With the C sharp, it has to do with what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? If you're going back down in the key of A, that's fine to do it over two holes. But if you're going to continue up the scale, you better be ready for the D, which is hole 5 draw. I would rather get up to the C sharp right below the D. So I've got C sharp, a hole 5, and D, hole 5. And this also has to do with arpeggios too. I have a preference if there's a skip that needs to be made. I do the skips always sooner rather than later. So I try to keep the upper members of the arpeggio like next to each other, like holes next to each other as much as possible. So A to C sharp as at playing chord tones, that's a pretty big leap. I got to jump from hole 3 to hole 5, right? It's like, why don't you go closer? Well, because I'm trying to get up to the E. A, C sharp, E. I want to keep the C sharp and the E together. So this business of which C sharp to use, I think you're right most of the time if you choose the upper one. I'm just having this whole revelation of what if there's a musical passage that goes up to C sharp and then back down? It doesn't go any higher than C sharp. Then you could go ahead and use the lower one. And the more I've been practicing, it's been about 2 weeks that I've been working on this lower C sharp thing. And anyway, so that is my general rule. If there's a musical passage that has a C sharp in it and it's going to continue to go up past C sharp, then I will use the upper option. And now my new thing is that if there's a musical passage that goes up to C sharp and doesn't go any further and then comes back down, I'll use the lower one. I've been practicing using the lower one, and I've been very intentional about what I've been practicing. A is a good example. You know, the first 3 notes of the A scale. It felt weird at first, but now I am starting to appreciate it, and it doesn't seem like, well, that's not that much energy to move up one hole. It's not that bad of a habit. It really isn't. And like I say, you're right most of the time, but I'm just feeling the difference. That's the old way. I'm really feeling it as like, yes, that makes more sense. Let's talk about other keys, but first let's look at the circle of fifths. I just want to show you something here. We have C at the top. On this side of the circle, we have the sharp keys. We have a G, and then right here, the key of D is the first place that a C sharp is introduced into the major scale of this tonality. The key of D. And then we move around the circle, D, A, E, B, F sharp, D flat, A flat. It's 7 keys. There's 7 keys that have the note C sharp in the major scale. So, you know, I got to thinking, how does that affect those 7 keys? I'll give you a few examples, and I'll show you like an exercise that I wrote out that I came up with. But let's talk about the key of E for a second here. So here I am in the key of E, and I'm going to play. You probably recognize that from Snow White, Whistle While You Work. I honestly would have played and jumped up a hole. just a little movement of the harp, just changing the whole. But let's talk about these two notes, B to C sharp. The note B is whole number 4 draw. To get to the C sharp that I was playing, I have to change breath direction, the position of the slide, and the whole. That's like 3 things just to move up a whole step. B to C sharp. And so if we keep it on hole 4, which you can do, then we just have 2 things that we're doing. We're changing breath direction and slide position, but we're staying on the same hole. And so I really just pausing, playing this kind of stuff and just seeing how it feels, and kind of have been enjoying the new experience. It makes B to C sharp easier. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But I tell you, I've been paying attention to these classical harmonica players. I've also been paying attention to jazz harmonica players who've had classical training. And I know they have. These kind of guys are paying very close attention to alternate note choices and how it affects the ergonomics of playing. And I always like to say that when it comes to these alternate notes, most of the time you could play the exact wrong choice and the listener has no idea because you're playing the right note. The pace of the music and the speed of the notes that's going by is such that it's fine. You could change breath direction and it could be not entirely efficient, but the music doesn't really suffer for it. However, I think the classical players are like paying attention to good habits because they know down the road there's going to be some insanely complicated phrase that they have to play in their professional classical harmonica playing careers. Is there such a career? Yes, there is a few guys that do that. But so they are preparing for the time where they're going to have to play something blazingly fast, and they have to like streamline and be as efficient as possible. So the correct note choices is important. So I was in the key of E. That was a good example for that. And B to C sharp, just that discussion makes a lot of sense. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to jump to, we're done with the circle of fifths here. And let's talk about the key of D here. What I did was I just took the scale up to the C sharp. Remember my rule, if it doesn't go above C sharp, I am trying to. And here's the thing, if you don't, it doesn't really make that big of a difference because I did it for 38 years. However, I'm trying to gain a new habit and a more efficient harmonica playing. You have the option, you have the choice. I got to tell you, my conflict as I was preparing a lesson in the key of A major was, if you ever seen me teach a major scale, I always sort of take baby steps. We talk about the first 3 notes of the scale and we drill it and we get it so it's like it's automatic. You don't have to think about it too much. Then, why learn 7 notes all at once when you can just learn 3 and focus on that and build up kind of drills bit by bit. And we focus on the first 3 notes of the scale, and then we go to the first 4 notes, and then we start playing the first 5 notes. And then I'll usually jump to how do you play the last 3 notes of the scale, and then we put it all together. We're playing over the octave, and then I get the student playing the scale in the second octave. Then we're playing a 2-octave major scale, and then we're playing the scale over the entire range of the harmonic, as high as we can go using scale tones and as low as we can go. So I'm trying to build skills and build just bit by bit, but how can I tell the student to play the first 3 notes different than he would when he gets to playing the first 4 notes, okay, now we're going to make a change. And so what I wound up saying was practice it both ways, but get used to using that higher one, because that's probably the one you're going to use most of the time. So anyway, the key of D here, just the scale up to C sharp and down. I am just holding myself back from jumping up a hole. Remember this B and the C sharp, you can play it on hole 4. Let's play it in tempo. That's one thing. Hang on a second. Then this exercise is playing the 7th chord. 4 notes over 4 holes. If I was playing a 9th chord arpeggio, I would skip between the A and C sharp, and I'd play a whole 5 C sharp, because I want to keep C sharp and E together. So the 9th chord. Once it goes past C sharp, I use the higher C sharp octave. But in this case, I can keep it there. Let's just go ahead and crank this thing up. 2, 3, 4. And let's move on to A. You've heard me do this, but here I've got jumping A to C sharp. Jumping A to C sharp, I used to skip a hole. And I still do skip a hole if I'm continuing up, like I said. So I can do that over a 2-hole range as opposed to jumping from hole 3 to hole 5. However, if I put the E on the top, I go ahead and make the leap. Let's play all this in tempo. This 3rd exercise, I'm playing an arpeggio. This is hole 5, this C sharp. But when I go from the A to this C sharp, I use the lower C sharp option. I don't know what hole number that is. Ready? In tempo. Okay, that was the key of A. Things to think about. I like that. Okay, here we're going to play a little bit of Whistle While You Work. We'll jump into this key of B, which is sort of a challenging thing in a second. But here we go. We'll just try this. This figure here is, we're in the key of B now. That was E. I've already discussed that. That figure. So in the olden days, I would have played. It just feels like extra work jumping up there when I don't need to. So it's all good. I'm happy about this. Let's I'm gonna start it like here, 2 beats before. See if I can play it in tempo here. What I have is what I want to play is C 12-hole harmonica. There's no B at the bottom. I did it. F sharp, this is real straightforward, playing the first 5 notes of the scale in F sharp. Just taking it up to hole 4. I tell you, it's a revelation. Let me give myself 4 counts. I did it. I did the wrong one out of habit. Can you believe it? So that was the key of F sharp, and then I looked at the key of D flat. I just played a very straightforward 1 octave scale up and down. There's no need to take it any higher unless you're going to keep going. Then even in that 2nd octave, jumping up there, I might have in the past habitually jumped up to the 2nd D flat or C sharp option. Anyway, look at this. I put 16th notes. Why am I torturing myself? Look, I habitually did the skip, I think. No, maybe not. Anyway, this exercise in A flat, it's just going up the first 4 notes of the scale. So I can play that figure over 2 holes. Like I keep saying, in the olden days, I would have played... I would have skipped a hole, an entire hole. I would have skipped hole 4. Not even touched it. It's crazy. I think that's all I've got to say, you know. I always like to say that I'm a harmonica teacher, but I'm perpetually a student, and I'm always learning. And especially this working on volume 2 of my harmonica method is representing another musical growth spurt for me as I'm facing technical challenges on the chromatic harmonica. Myself, I will perpetually be a student of the instrument. You will see me at the conventions, going to seminars and raising my hands and asking questions, because I want to continue growing myself, and I have a lot of things to learn. Talk to you guys later. I'm gonna do this.